Hi, my name is Riley, if you didn't know that, but I assume that you did because I assume that if you're watching this, I sent it to you personally because I have been going around and trying to help people with their spiritual paths and spiritual journeys. And I have finally decided that it would be easier and I could do it faster if I just turned it into videos and then sent the videos. And then I could just fast track everybody to ascension into 5D. But that will take a second, but we have to start small, and we start small with just happiness, because if you can control your own happiness, then you can raise your own frequency, and that is the first step to ascending, is raising your frequency. So happiness, we have been lied to about happiness, because we have been told and we have assumed that it is from material items and accomplishments and doing things, and if we just get that nicer house, or if we get that nicer car, or if we get that whatever, if we get the new job, or if we get a promotion, or if we get this title, or if we're the best mom or the best dad or the best person or whatever, then that will make us happy. But that's not how happiness works, and that's why not really that many people are genuinely happy within the 3 and 4D. So it's because every single ounce of happiness that you will ever have in your entire life is already inside you. All of it. You're not going to get any happier. It's already inside you. The thing is, it's like a ball of energy. And if something comes into contact with this ball of energy and covers it up, you can't feel as much of it. And the only thing that can cover up this ball of energy is desires. Whether it's desires for the new car, the new house, a relationship, like food and water, your birthrights, you desiring your birthrights, you desiring a better situation, you desiring a better environment. Literally everything is a desire. Everything. And when anything comes into contact with that energetic ball, it covers it up so you can't feel as much of it. So if you don't have any desires, you can feel 100% of it. But the moment that you start having desires come up, it covers up like 5, 10, 20% of it, and then more desires come along, and then the whole energetic ball of happiness is covered up by desires, and you can't feel any of it. So you have to understand that whatever you're desiring already exists, and you can manifest it, and there's all these other ways to get it, but also like you might not even really desire it that much when you think about it in these terms. But if you can understand that, you can clear out your energetic ball of happiness, and then you can feel all of it. And the more of it you feel, the higher your frequency gets. And then you can start connecting with your higher self more, and talk to your higher self, and really start like moving really fast on your spiritual path and your journey to ascension. I have a metaphor that I channeled that kind of fully explains it, but it also adds in the childhood trauma aspect of it and what is actually going on. I have this really cool whiteboard presentation because I decided I'm a YouTuber now, so I got a whiteboard. I'm just kidding, I already had the whiteboard. Okay, so let me just prepare my whiteboard presentation. Okay, so the ball of energetic happiness is these two balls, and this is me, and this is you. And let's just say that we're 5 years old and we walk into kindergarten and we meet each other for the first time, and we sit down at the table, and the kindergarten teacher comes up and she puts some blocks on the table. And both of us desire to play with the blocks. So our desire to play with the blocks comes up and covers up part of our energetic ball of happiness, right? And let's say that we both didn't have any desires when this started, right? So this one small desire to play with these blocks covers up like 20% of each of our energetic balls of happiness, right? That could be a joke. Anyways, so then you decide that you are going to manifest your desire into reality and play with the blocks. So you grab the blocks and you're playing with them, right? And your desire has been manifested into reality. But because you think that, or because when that happened you felt more happiness, you might have thought maybe some happiness was created by these blocks. But really it wasn't. It was because it was already there, and then some of it was covered up by the desire, but then you manifested the desire, which removed the energy of that thought, of that desire, from that energetic ball of happiness. And then it manifested into reality. And now you have it. So now you're at 100% happiness again, right? But I'm still over here, and I still desire to play with those blocks. And I'm thinking about my desire and how I'm going to make it come to fruition. And so I decide to come up to you and I decide to take your blocks and start playing with them myself. And when I do that, I remove the desire out from in front of my happiness and manifest it into my reality. And then I feel 100% of my happiness again. However, you have the desire to play with the blocks again. So that covers up another 20% of your happiness again. And then, not only do you desire to play with the blocks again, but now you're kind of confused because as soon as that happened, you felt less happy. So you're thinking that your happiness really might be in these blocks. Not only that, but now you're also desiring a safer environment because little blonde girls are coming up to you stealing your blocks. And so that is another desire for a safer environment. So that covers up another 20% of your happiness. So now you can only see 60% of your happiness. And so you're like, what the heck, man? And not to mention, you've never had access to blocks before. These were the first blocks that you've ever seen, that you've ever had. The first tower you've ever built. You were at complete bliss. And then some little blonde girl just robbed you of that complete bliss. And so now you went from complete bliss to nothing. This is one of the biggest tragedies that you have ever experienced in your 5-year-old life thus far. Okay? So you're confused. And you go to the teacher. And you're like, teacher, this little blonde girl, she stole my blocks. And the teacher is like every single other toxic adult. And the teacher says, well, you know how when you got the blocks, you felt happier? that little girl over there is playing with them. You already had a turn to play with them, so you should let her play with them and have her a turn so she can be happy like you were happy. And you want to be nice to her because you want people to be nice to you, right? And you want to treat people how you want to be treated, right? And then you're like, but because you want to say, but I've never had blocks before and this is completely unfair, and she just snatched them rudely. And the teacher, before you can even say that though, the teacher's like, no buts. No buts. So all of a sudden, in your tragic moment, all of a sudden now you have the desire to be understood. And that's going to cover up another 20% of your happiness. So now you can only see 40% of your happiness, and you're really getting frustrated now. And you're like, this isn't fair, this isn't fair, you don't understand why this is fair. And now you desire to understand your environment and why your environment isn't fair. And that covers up another 20% of your happiness. Alright, so now you only can see 20% of your happiness left, right? And you're like, you're starting to really, really freak out because you've never felt like this before. You've never had such low happiness before. It's never been like this, right? And now all of a sudden you're wanting to understand your own feelings, and no one is there to explain them to you, because they can't explain their feelings to themselves. I digress. But you're desiring to understand your own feelings, and that's going to cover up that final 20%. So now, you can't see any of your happiness. It's all gone. You desire to understand yourself, your environment, you desire the blocks, you desire safety, you desire all of these things that are your birthright. But because this planet has been set up to sacrifice, and everyone, like the teacher, was all taught, sacrifice your emotions, sacrifice your desires, sacrifice all of these things for other people to make other people happy. And that has gotten us with a planet that is severely polluted and 300 people controlling it. So anyways, the teacher taught you a lot of things. The teacher taught you to sacrifice your own desires to make other people happy. The teacher taught you that the happiness was inside the blocks and not inside yourself. The teacher taught you to sacrifice your desires to make them happy, and I'm losing my train of thought. I'm sorry. And to sacrifice your right to a safe environment, and to sacrifice your right to be understood, and to sacrifice your right to understand your environment. And when we question all of this when we're little, the adults are like, oh, you can't understand, you can't understand, you can't understand. It's not that we couldn't understand, it's that they couldn't understand well enough to explain it to us. But we're in luck because I'm a psychic medium who can channel higher dimensional beings who can explain it to me, and they did. And this is how it works, and we just have to understand exactly what desires are and how that manipulates our own happiness, and then we can use that understanding to control it and to raise our own frequency and transcend all of this, because it was all built on lies. And that is step 1 on how to raise your frequency.